Welcome to Leo's English Lounge.
We're so glad you're here. Today, we're diving into a really big topic for anyone learning English: how to finally speak fluently. It all comes down to a powerful idea we call the output principle.
Yeah, let's just jump right in with a question I think almost every learner has asked. You can watch a movie, you can read a book, you understand what people are saying, but then when it's your turn to talk, the words just don't come out right.
It's so frustrating. Why does that happen?
Exactly. That feeling of being stuck, that big gap between what you know in your head and what you can actually say, that's what we call the fluency problem.
It's super common, and I think you have a personal story about this, right?
I do. After about 5 years of studying English, I could do the simple stuff, like ordering coffee. But trying to share my real opinions or feelings, it was a total mess. I actually remember a time when I got so frustrated that I cried because I felt so bad at speaking. I knew all the words, but I just couldn't use them.
Wow, I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling. So, what's the real problem here? Why do so many of us hit that wall? Well, it's usually not because you don't know enough. It's because of how we learned.
That's right. Most of us learned in a system that's all about input. Just think about school. We read textbooks, we listened to tapes, we watched videos. It's like we were just downloading information into our brains. And we hopes that one day it would just magically turn into fluent speaking. But that's not really how it works.
Exactly. And this slide really shows the difference. Input is passive. You're just consuming, kind of like watching TV. But output, actually speaking and writing, that's active. You're creating something. It's like you can't learn to play basketball just by watching games on TV. You have to get on the court and actually play the game yourself.
For sure. And when you look at how people learn any skill, an input-only approach is just not effective. The best way to learn is actually the opposite of what most people do. You should spend about 70% of your time on output, speaking and writing, and only about 30% on input.
70%? That's a huge difference from how most of us study.
It is, and that brings us to the solution. It's a simple but really powerful change in how you think. You have to shift your focus from just knowing English to actually doing English.
Because the real learning happens when you're trying to use the language yourself. That's when your brain really starts to make the connections.
So here's the key takeaway. You have to treat English like any other skill, like learning guitar or learning to cook. It's an active thing. You have to speak. You have to write.
You've got to be outputting way more than you are inputting if you want to see real progress.
Okay, so you might be thinking, this makes sense, but how do I actually practice output, especially if I don't have anyone to talk to?
That's a great question, and we have a really practical method that you can start using literally today.
Yeah, it's a simple 2-part technique that was a total game changer for me. It's a mix of building muscle memory for your mouth and a deep thinking exercise for your brain.
We call it the Mimicry Method plus Active Recall.
Okay, so part 1 is all about the physical part of speaking. First, find a sentence you like, maybe from a movie or a podcast. Look up any new words so you know what they mean and how to say them. Don't worry about spelling. The goal here is just to train your mouth. Repeat the sentence again and again, word by word, until it feels totally natural. It's just like how little kids learn to talk. They just copy sounds. Right, now for part 2. This is the really powerful part. Active recall. So active recall isn't just reviewing. It's forcing your brain to pull out information from your memory without looking.
It's the difference between just reading your notes one more time and actually trying to explain a topic to a friend using only your memory. It's much harder, but it's where the deep learning happens.
And here's how you do it. After you've practiced saying a sentence, you ask yourself questions. Okay, in what situation would I actually say this? Or how can I change 1 or 2 words to make a new sentence? By making yourself answer those questions, you're not just memorizing. You are actually preparing your brain to use that language in a real-life conversation. Okay, so even if you have the perfect technique, there's one last big problem that stops so many people from ever speaking. And, it might be the biggest problem of all.
And that is fear.
Yeah, and we're not going to pretend it's not real. Let's just be honest. Some people might judge your accent or your grammar. That fear is a real thing. But what's important is how we choose to deal with that fear. That's what really makes a difference. And here's a helpful way to think about it. Consider who is judging you. Often, the people who judge can only speak one language. They've never been brave enough to do what you are doing right now. So, why should you let their opinions stop you on your journey? It doesn't really make sense, right?
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, being fluent isn't about having a perfect American or British accent. I've seen so many successful people who are not native speakers. What really mattered was this. Could they share their ideas clearly?
Right. And did they sound confident when they spoke? That's what people actually care about, not perfect grammar.
This quote is everything. You can't wait until you feel perfect or ready to start speaking, because you know what? That day might never come. Progress doesn't happen while you wait. It happens when you start. You just have to open your mouth and start outputting, even if it's not perfect at first.
And one last piece of advice for me is to try and find the fun in it. For me, I just really wanted to connect with new people. And the more I enjoyed actually talking to people, the more motivated I was to keep practicing.
That joy is what keeps you going, especially on the days when it feels hard.
So that brings us to our final questions for you. My question is, what is one small fear about speaking English that you can try to ignore this week? For me, it used to be the fear of using the wrong preposition, like in or on. I decided to just not worry about it, and it really helped me speak more freely. That's a great one. My question is, what's a fun topic you're interested in that you could try to talk about for just 1 minute today? For me, it would be my favorite food. I could easily talk about pizza for a minute. So think about what you will start outputting today. Thanks for joining us at Leo's English Lounge.